So really, I think the problem with our relationship with time is that we're looking at it as such a universal thing, instead of looking at it as an welcome to day 27 out of 30. I'm on a 30-day challenge to see if I could change or improve the way I feel about myself, because I've been struggling with a low sense of self-worth. And today, on day 27, I've been thinking a lot about our relationship with time. Literally, I woke up and I just felt bad about where I am in life and why I haven't achieved certain things by this point in my life. And then I had to stop and think, who said we have to achieve certain things by a certain age? Like, is there some universal book plan that we're all supposed to follow? No. And although we know this, I feel like a lot of people still feel so pressured to reach certain milestones by a certain age. I'm in my 20s, right? And I feel like a lot of people are progressing wonderfully in their career, or getting married, or buying houses, or having kids even. And obviously when I was a kid, I thought by a certain age I would have reached certain milestones. And I feel bad that I haven't reached those milestones. Although, when you really think about it, I don't want them. Like, do I want a kid right now? No. But the fact that other people my age have kids, I feel like I'm behind. That's what it is. I feel like because I didn't achieve a certain thing by a certain age, I'm therefore behind than everyone else in this race of life. And I wonder if you feel like that too, because I feel like I can't be the only one, right? But if we stop to really think about it, again, there is no universal rule book. So if we know everybody doesn't follow this rule book that we all think we're supposed to follow, why do we stress ourselves out when we don't reach certain milestones by certain points in our life or at certain ages? And I guarantee you, if you ask everybody, they might have a slightly different rule book. Like, someone might say by 22, you have to have this thing in your life. And other people might say by 28, you have to have that thing in your life. So this rule book that we think that everyone follows is quite different in all of our heads. So we're making up something that we think everybody wants us to do or everyone has, and then we make ourselves miserable and beat ourselves up when we don't have those things by a certain point. And I understand it doesn't help when you have like your parents or random family members or your neighbors telling you, why don't you have this thing at this point in your life? Again, we could say they have a certain timeline, rule book in their heads, and they think you should be following the rules of their rule book. So it's really like we're all living in some made up world in our own heads. I just think it's so interesting that we're so fixated on reaching certain things by a certain age. So what if you reach the thing by 40? Maybe we have to stop looking at it as, I didn't reach this thing by this age, and start flipping it and saying, I'm working towards this thing, and that's it. Because you'll get there when you get there if you're working towards something. Instead of giving yourself an end date and feeling bad about it, we should just focus on starting the journey and taking the steps towards the thing, and then we'll get there when we get there. Because what if you reach that certain milestone or goal by 40? What if you just took longer to learn the skills or go through the experiences that led you to that thing by 40, right? Like, what's the easiest example I can give? Because this is making sense to me. I want to make sure it makes sense to you. What if, here we go, this happens to a lot of people in their 20s, right? Family members always ask, when are you getting married? We can't feel bad that a bunch of your friends are getting married at 25 when they've been dating their partner or just started dating earlier and longer than you, right? They've started the process of looking for a life partner versus you who just last year said, I want to open myself up to dating and finding someone. You can't be hard on yourself that you're not getting married at the same year as the rest of your friends who have been dating for longer than you, right? Because they opened the door to reaching that goal of, getting married much earlier in life. Does that make sense? I think that makes sense. We can't feel bad that we don't have certain things if we never took the steps or had the experiences that would allow us to reach that certain thing. Okay. So instead of looking outside, we should only be focusing on looking inside and paying attention to our own journeys and what the fuck happens in our own lives. Because even if you started the process to achieve something at the same time as 4 different people, it's gonna take longer for some people than others. And that might just be because there's things that they haven't understood, they haven't learned, they haven't experienced yet. There could be other diversions and distractions. So if that's the case, just because other people are achieving certain things at a certain age doesn't mean we should too. So really, I think the problem with our relationship with time is that we're looking at it as such a universal thing instead of looking at it as an individual timeline. Ooh, that's good. All of us, stay with me, okay? All of us have individual timelines. And sure, my timeline might intersect with your timeline. So at a certain point in time, we are meeting. Great, wonderful. But just because we've met at a certain point and we learn about each other's lives doesn't mean the same things have to happen for the both of us. Even if we're like very similar, right? We can have the same interests, want to study the same thing, want to build the same business, want to have a very similar family life. Even though it seems like it's like copy paste exactly the same, it's not going to. You know why? Because you are different. You have your own timeline. Everyone is unique around you. Down to the cellular level, there are differences between all of us. Therefore, all of our timelines are going to be different too. It's day 27 now, and I'm really realizing a lot of the problems that we have come from looking externally at what other people have and creating these false expectations and narratives that we think we should be following. And I understand when we don't know where to start, it's easy to look out and say, okay, let's see what other people are doing. But I think we get caught up in thinking, oh, like these people seem successful and they reached these goals by this age, therefore I should too if I want to feel like them. And we forget that we're our own person. And we forget that we're different than them. And we have our own timelines. So things are going to happen for us differently than other people. Okay, you know what you have to think? Your life is a movie, okay? Why would you want your movie to look exactly the same as everybody else's? You're different. Your thoughts are different. Your wants are different. Your desires are different. And your sorrows are different. Everything about you is so different. So why would you want this copy-paste movie as everybody else? It doesn't make sense. Everyone's movie is different. Duh. If not, then what's the point of having like individual thought and desires if we were all just going to be the same? We would be very robotic. So by us freaking out and making ourselves feel bad for not reaching things by a certain age, we are then disrespecting our own timeline. We are not allowing our timeline to flourish and thrive the way it's supposed to play out because we're so fixated on being in or copying other people's timelines. Why are you so sad that your movie doesn't look like someone else's movie? By you sitting there just being sad that your movie doesn't look like someone else's movie, you're not even letting your movie to play out. We're stuck on a scene. We're stuck in scene 7. We're stuck in scene 7 where you're just sad and depressed and in a slump or like just very anxious or very like self-conscious that you're not where you are and you don't want to go interact with other people and tell them what's really going on with your life and your thoughts because you're like, man, I don't feel like I'm at the standard where everyone else is. And we're just stuck there. We don't need to be stuck there. We don't want to be stuck there. You know why? Because your movie needs to progress. Our movies need to keep going. So we need to stop looking out. You know what scene we're stuck on? Is when you just look out the window and it's raining and you're crying about something. That's where we're stuck on. We've been watching that for way too long now. We're done. We're done with that. We're done with that. I'm laughing because I'm like talking about myself. I'm saying you, but I do this too. So We need to stop. We want to move on. The audience is bored. We're bored. We're bored of watching you just stare at a window and cry while it's raining. It was good for 5 minutes. It gave us character development and character growth, but it's time for us to move on to the next scene. But the thing about this movie is we can't move on unless you want it to move. You want to know why? Because you're the director, the producer, and the actor. You're in control of this movie. So screw what's happening in other people's movies and focus on your own. Remember, the only way your movie and your timeline will stay paused is if you're not taking any action. And usually we don't take any action when we're really in our head and in our thoughts, and we're usually thinking bad things about ourselves or just looking outward at what other people are doing instead of focusing on ourselves. So stop staying on pause. Let's go. I want to hit play. I want to watch the movie. The movie needs to be made. This movie motive has been going on for a very long time. Okay, goodbye. I will see you tomorrow on day 28.